we're done with some of these. Yeah, on my tablet, but you're gonna see soon.
16-year-old Daniel Petrie and 12-year-old Gabriel Kuhn were two friends from Brazil who were both fans of an online role-playing game called Tibia. But on July 23rd, 2007, after Gabriel borrowed some in-game money from Daniel but was unable to pay it back, Daniel became absolutely furious. He stormed into Gabriel's room and proceeded to attack and rape him. After that, he strangled Gabriel with a wire until he fainted and went on to cut off his legs with a hacksaw. Gabriel regained consciousness and screamed in pain, but Daniel just kept cutting. The autopsy revealed that Gabriel was alive while his legs were being cut off, but soon died after due to blood loss and pain. Daniel was later sent off to a juvenile offender and served just 3 years in prison.
This is why you should always be scared of clowns. In 2004, a babysitter had just sat down to watch TV before the parents got back when she noticed something. In the corner of the room was a large clown statue that, no matter how she positioned herself, seemed like it was staring right at her. As she's looking at it, the father calls to check in on the kids. She tells him everything is fine, and right before they're about to hang up, she says, "Why do you have a huge clown statue in your TV room?" There was silence on the phone, and then the father just says, "We don't own a clown statue." She immediately drops the phone, runs upstairs, gets the kids, runs outside, calls the cops. Cops go in and come out with this guy. As the police are taking the clown away, one of the officers comes over to the girl and with a very grim look on his face just says, "We found him underneath one of the kids' beds. He was holding a sharpened screwdriver."
This is why you should never sleep in your car. 2 years ago, a man was driving 2 hours home after a family reunion, and it started to get dark outside. The road he was driving on was dense with trees and bushes, and it looked like something out of a horror movie. About an hour into his drive, the man got really tired, and he decided to pull off the road into some bushes and sleep. About 30 minutes after the man fell asleep, he woke up to the sound of someone scratching his car window. He looked around for a bit, but the noise stopped. He then went back to bed. He again woke up an hour later to the same sound, and as he looked around, he caught a glimpse of something running away into the bushes. The man thought it would be a good idea to leave, so he started his car and drove around the near corner. As the man turned the corner, he saw another car parked in the bushes to the side of the road. And as the man slowed down to get a better look, he saw a man in his rear-view mirror sprinting towards his car, yelling curse words at him. He then stepped on the gas and drove away. Moral of the story, don't sleep in your car.
This is why you should always lock your door while you're driving.
A man just got off work and was driving home. It was about 2 a.m. and he came across a red light. It was one of those red lights that sit for way too long. The man contemplated on running the red light, but he wanted to be a good Samaritan, so he said, "I'll just wait it out." And this is where the story takes a very dark turn. So a woman sitting at a bus stop sees the man's car stopped at the red light, so she walks over to his window. The man then gets very worried as the woman approaches his window, and she looks at him and she knocks on the glass. The woman then signals him to roll down the window just like that. The man then rolls down his window just enough to have a small conversation. The woman looks at him and says, "I've been beat by my husband. Can you help me?" The man looks at the woman and notices that there's no bumps or bruises, so he's kind of eerie about this. The woman says again, "I've been beat by my husband. Can you help me?" The man just starts staring at this woman in shock. The woman then says the same exact thing over and over again. So as this woman keeps asking over and over again, the light suddenly turns green. The man looks at the woman and says, "I can't help you." The woman smiled and said, "You just saved your life."
Send this video to someone that is absolutely terrified of clowns. A young boy named Nathan was walking alone to meet up with some friends at a nearby carnival. When he arrived, they rode roller coasters and eventually made their way to a circus tent with live performers. They went inside and saw a group of clowns performing. They were dancing, juggling, and one of them was riding a unicycle. The boys got closer to the stage, and the one riding the unicycle slipped and fell, and his red nose landed right beside Nathan, who picked it up, put it in his pocket, figuring the clown had plenty more. After the show was over, Nathan was walking back home when suddenly he heard a slight chuckle. He turned around and shined his flashlight. He could make out a shadowy figure holding a sharp object in his hand. The figure said in a creepy, sinister voice, "I believe you have something of mine." Nathan slowly backed away, pleading, "No, I don't. Please leave me alone." The figure stepped into the light. It was the clown from the carnival. He said, "Well, if you're not going to give me my nose, I'm gonna need yours."
It's story's called Help Me. A Macedonian family had been travelling through America. After being out late one night, their little girl curls up in the booth of a restaurant and falls asleep. She later wakes up in the back seat of the car. Still dazed and confused, she sees them pull into a doctor's clinic. While in the doctor's, the girl struggles to understand anything that's being said. The woman turns and says, "Where's the usual doctor?" And calmly, the doctor turns and says, "Well, I'm filling in today." Angry, the mother says, "Well, my daughter's sick and I think she's got food poisoning." When he talks to the girl in English, he doesn't get a response. The mother says she only speaks Macedonian, and the doctor turns and says "Dobro" in Macedonian. The girl's eyes light up. He leans down and says, "Are you okay? Have they hurt you yet?" The girl says, "No, but that's not my mum. I'm so scared." He looks at the mum, who's confused, and says, "I'll have to examine her." As she lays on the table, he says, "I'm a policeman, sweetie. These people have drugged you. They've also taken my daughter, and I need you to go with them so I can find her." She hops down from the bed, and in total fear, she leaves with the woman.
This is why you should never talk to strangers. In the early 2000s, a young girl was waiting outside her friend's house, peeling the bark off the tree, when a strange man approaches her. As he got closer, she could see that he was grinning ear to ear, and his face was white as a ghost. He walks right up to her, pinches her on the arm, and says, "How would you like it if I peeled your skin?" Just then, her friend's mom yells for her to come inside, and the man walks away. It would be years before the girl's mother would finally tell her who this man really was. Her friend's mom had seen the man pinch her on the arm and had immediately called the police, who quickly rounded this guy up. Plastered all across the inside of his van were dozens of pictures of this girl. But what they found in his storage locker is straight out of a nightmare. In the locker was a chair with hand and arm restraints. Next to it was an anatomy book and hundreds of torture tools.
Here's why you should never work at a mental asylum. A young woman had just finished nursing school. In need of experience, she decided to work at a mental asylum. One night there was a surgery being performed on a dangerous mental patient. But the patient stabbed 2 doctors and managed to escape. Everyone panicked as the patient wreaked havoc on the hospital. She escaped into the woods, and the nurse and a few other workers managed to follow her. She disappeared into a nearby cave, and this is what happened.